Hello everybody, we're going to start 10.1. Here's the contact email that you've heard before. 10.1, analyze surveys and samples, 50 points in the classwork, 0 note points. Excuse me. Bell work, copy and complete, and then find the mean, median, and mode of the data here. And I give you room here to complete that number 2 bell work, because it's going to require some workspace here. So this is included on your worksheet. (10.1) excuse me. Analyze surveys and samples. You found experimental probabilities. You will identify populations and sampling methods. So you can analyze surveys of sports fans. A survey is a study of one or more characteristic of a group. The entire group you want information about is called a population. So here's some good terminology here, vocabulary. A population of an entire population is called a census, a survey of a population. When it is difficult to perform a census, you can survey a sample, which is a part of a population. Sampling methods here: a random sample, a stratified random sample, excuse me, and a systematic sample. These are all different forms of methods of sampling. And then a convenience sample, and then a self-selected sample. All these are different sampling methods here for taking samples. Example 1, classify a sampling method. Employee safety. Owners of a company of several factories conduct a survey to determine whether employees are informed about safety. At each factory, 50 employees are chosen. Population is all company employees because the population is divided into distinct groups with employees chosen at random. The sample is a stratified random sample. So here's an example here of this form of sampling, stratified random sample. Guided practice 1, example 1. Suppose the owners survey each employee whose last name begins with M. Classify the sampling method. And then students, this is for you. Classifying here was example 1. Here about the employees at each factory, 50 employees, whose last name begins with M. When all employees whose last name begins with M are surveyed, there is a rule that is followed for sampling. So this group is a systematic sample. Systematic, because there is a rule that is followed for sampling. Bias sample. A sample chosen for a survey should be representative of a population. A bias sample is a sample that is not representative. In a bias sample, parts of the population may be overrepresented or underrepresented. Random samples and stratified random samples, as in example 1, are the most likely types of samples to be representative. A systematic sample may be representative if the rule used to choose individuals is not biased. So bias is a sample that would be not representative. Example 2, identify a potentially biased sample. Okay, so we're back to the 50 workers chosen from one factory. Is the method likely to result in a biased sample? Workers at other factories may hold significantly different opinions, so the method may result in a biased sample. Biased questions. A question that encourages a particular response is a biased question. Survey questions should be structured so they don't produce a biased response. Tell whether the sampling method used is likely to result in a biased sample. Explain. A family wants to gather information from other residents on the street about forming a neighborhood watch. They survey every third house on both sides of the street. And then students, this is for you down here. Tell whether the sampling method used is likely to result in a biased sample. Classwork, page 8. Okay, so for the neighborhood watch situation, the sampling method is unlikely to be biased. By systematical sampling every third house on both sides of the street, families likely to receive unbiased results because it's just somewhat of a systematic method here. Every third house, it's not biased in any other way. Okay, example 3 here. Identify potentially biased questions. Tell whether the question is potentially biased. Explain your answer. If the question is potentially biased, rewrite it so that it is not. Don't you agree that the voting age, don't you think this is suggested? Don't you agree that the voting age should be lowered to 16 because many 16-year-olds are responsible and informed? This is A here. This question is biased because it suggests that the lowering of the voting age is a good thing to do. An unbiased question would be, do you think the voting age should be lowered to 16? It shouldn't lead in here with a suggestive kind of phrase there. Then B, do you think the city should risk an increase in pollution by allowing expansion of the northern industrial park? This question is biased because it suggests that the proposed expansion, allowing expansion, increase in pollution, will be bad for the environment. An unbiased question is, do you think the city should allow expansion of the northern industrial park? Because by including a reason here or an opinion here, it would bias the question. Okay, so this is guided practice number 5. Soccer question here. In a survey about Americans' interest in soccer, the first 25 people admitted to a high school soccer game were asked, how interested are you in the world's most popular sport? Is the sampling method likely to result in a biased sample? Explain. Is the question potentially biased? Explain your answer. If the question is potentially biased, rewrite it so that it is not. And then students, here's your question here for your independent practice. And then the practice would be one possible response is yes, people who do not attend soccer games may have significantly different opinions. So the method may result in a biased example. It might, because you went to a soccer game. Is the question potentially biased? Yes, the question is biased because it suggests that you should have an interest in soccer because it is the world's most popular sport. An unbiased question would be, how interested are you in the sport of soccer? That'd be a little bit less biased. Okay, so that was classwork for Algebra 1, lesson 10.1. And then here's your ordering email into the homework for 10.1, analyzing surveys and samples. 66 points here on your homework sheet. Vocab and writing. Populations and samples. Identify the population and classify the sampling methods. So you have sampling methods here that are being used. Go back up into your classwork to redefine sampling methods. And then customer satisfaction. An airline wants to gather information. A computer randomly selects 30 passengers, so they want you to define the sampling method here. 8 points, page 3 on your homework, page 4 on your homework, page 5 on your homework, 12 points. Then page 6 on your homework here, error analysis, challenge. And then this is an explanation here, question. So use this area here. If you need more room, students, attach an answer sheet. And then page 7 here. And that is 10.1, chapter 10, first lesson. Again, ordering information here from this email. Thank you very much.